Keane O'Brien said, "Hi Craig, when do you think the Thiago deal will happen?" So we have a little talk about Thiago then, because that is this summer's transfer saga for Liverpool. Again, seems a very unnecessary saga. Seems a fairly straightforward thing to get sorted out. The player wants to come here. We know the transfer fee. The transfer fee is reasonable, in my opinion. We do know that maybe we have to move a player on. And look, I understand that. Genuinely, I do understand that. Klopp doesn't want to bring in another midfielder and have 8 first team midfielders there for 3 positions, as well as a couple of the youngsters. So I get that. I genuinely understand the thought process behind moving a midfielder on. But why don't we just go out there and get Thiago and then worry about moving the midfielder on? I mean, what's the worst case scenario here? Barcelona don't come in for Wijnaldum and we're stuck with him and we spend 30 million on Thiago. Fair enough. We'll figure it out another way. Maybe we loan somebody else out, or maybe we try and move somebody on. I don't really give a shit, to be honest with you, because we need to get somebody in who can unlock defences. And players like Thiago, with 1 year left on their contract, Champions League winner, Spanish international, pretty much won everything in the game. They don't come around at this price every day. We've seen Thiago glide through that little mini tournament and win the Champions League with Bayern Munich, and he was the standout player for me in the midfield in the final as well. And now it looks like Barcelona's interest in Thiago could be cooling, and there's a couple of reports that Ronald Koeman has gotten his way, because there was a bit of a divide in the Barcelona board. Ronald Koeman and a couple of people were happy and wanted Gini Wijnaldum. Obviously Ronald Koeman knows exactly what he'd get from Gini, having worked with him in the Dutch national team, and they're going in for Memphis Depay as well, because it looks like they can't get Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan, so they turn into Memphis Depay as an option. But there was talk of Thiago, and thankfully that seems to be put to bed by some very good Barcelona-based journalists who said that Ronald Koeman looks like he's going to get his way and Gini's the target. So if anything else now, Gini's the target, so we know that potentially we can go out there and get Thiago, because we know that this little 3-piece jigsaw we've been talking about, this little trifecta of Barcelona moving a midfielder on, check, done. Gini Wijnaldum maybe moving to Barcelona, could be done. That's what they want, and us to go and get Thiago. Why is it taking so long? It's ridiculous. What's the point in this brinksmanship of sitting back and just waiting? Get it done. Get Klopp a few minutes working with these players. Get Thiago in, and then maybe move Gini on. And look, I say this like it's very simple to just move Gini on. I love Gini Wijnaldum. Every Liverpool fan I know loves Gini Wijnaldum. This isn't a case of trying to force Gini out the door, but this seems to be the way this is going to unfold. So why the hell should we sit back and let it take so long? It just seems ridiculous for a transfer committee and a transfer board that have done wonders and that deserve our respect and have our respect. This just seems nickel and diamond. That's the only phrase I can use. Some other reports that Chelsea being interested in Thiago have been ruled out by Fabrizio Romano, and Manchester United have also not had any direct contact with Bayern Munich over the player, but they have had some chats with his agents, I think. But again, I don't know quite how serious the interest is for Manchester United and Thiago, but it all leads back to one thing. Klopp wants Thiago, Thiago wants Liverpool, Liverpool fans want Thiago. Get it done. I don't know what else to say. Just get it done. Get that deal done. Get him in here. You get the whole fan base immediately lifted. Everybody. The Thiago shirt will start flying out the door. That 20% will start coming in rather quick. And Thiago's wages don't seem to be a massive issue, by the way. I mean, from what I've read, his wages are quite realistic. And there was some talk from Sky Sports as well on this. I think it might have been Carvey Solocol, excuse me if I'm wrong on it, suggesting that Liverpool are potentially happy to sit back and sign Thiago in a pre-contract in January for next summer. That's under the assumption that Thiago's going to stay at Bayern Munich, a club that he's already told he wants to move on from, and a club that, you know, he said his goodbyes to. We said this a while back. There was, you know, the end of the season after they won the Champions League, there was a bit of a do for the players, and Thiago brought his family there and he said his goodbyes to the players. Jan Fjortov spoke about it. I think even Christian Falk had tweeted about this or spoken about it on a podcast. It's madness. It's just absolute lunacy. It's like we're trying to shoot ourselves in the foot after doing what we've waited 30 years to do. It's not a good look going into the start of a new campaign. It really isn't. And I feel for the manager, because as much as publicly he's going to put on a brave face, and publicly he's going to say he knew what he was working with, and publicly he's going to back his players, because that's what Klopp does. And that's what's gotten us to where we are. That belief that he instills in that squad and the players. And we love Jurgen for that. And we've not a bad word to say about the gaffer and all of this. What have we got? FSG really annoying. We got 175 million for winning the league and can't even give Bayern 30 million for Thiago, who might be a first team starter if Gini leaves. Look, the finances are quite tricky, as I've said before, but what it boils down to is that Liverpool's owners are very good when it comes to improving infrastructure. They loaned Liverpool the money for the main stand. Obviously, we can't forget about the fantastic new training facility at Kirby. That's pretty much ready to go as well. And they're happy to do that, and they're happy to do that pretty much interest-free. From my very limited understanding of these things, that loan for the main stand, I think, had maybe 3% interest on it, something like that. I think that's put in there to cover the cost of inflation, from what I've been told by people far better at accounting than I will ever be. So that's grand and that's sound, but why not do that? Just even if it's a once-off this summer to get a couple of players in, a couple of players who, you know, we need to tweak to just cover the gaps to allow us to go out there and really challenge on four fronts this season, which is what we need to be doing. We have, up to 2024 with Jurgen Klopp as our manager. Let's not dick about. Let's capitalise on it. And look, there's another side to this that we haven't touched on yet, and that is the younger players coming through. And that again is an area where our recruitment team have excelled in and our coaches have done really well. And there's not all negatives. We have to look at bringing in the likes of Harvey Elliott last summer. Very good piece of business. We've gone out there and signed Sepp van den Berg. We got Billy Cometio. We got Kylian Hoover. The list goes on. Curtis Jones breaking through into the first team. Brilliant. Quiveen Kelleher starting to make strides. Called up a senior Irish international. Call up for him as well. Brilliant. Loads of good news there. And I'm happy for our youngsters. And there's more along the way. You've seen over the summer a lot of people signing their first professional contracts with the club. That's class. But there is this little gap. There's this period between Klopp's first team and Klopp's second team, and a couple of those younger players are just still that little bit too far away to really make an impact. So maybe they go out on loan, a couple of them. Now, we've always spoken about Harvey Elliott, and the thing about Harvey Elliott was the club were always looking at the long term with Harvey, and rightly so. That kid's a Liverpool fan through and through. He looks like a superstar, and he'll be here for the long haul. Brilliant. No argument about that. Right, what have we got? Bernadette sent in a super chat to say, what if Klopp saying to FSG, I want my own homegrown team, that's how he works? I mean, I've got to be honest, Bernadette, I haven't really given that much thought. I do know that Klopp loves to improve players on the field to the coaching. Brilliant. That's what he's brought in for. I get it. And there is a point to what you're saying, Bernadette, so I'm not trying to just brush this off. But we know that he wanted Timo Werner, Bernadette. We know that he seems to want Thiago. And there are probably a few other players that I could drop as well that we know that Jurgen Klopp wanted and we didn't get for various reasons. So I've no doubt that Klopp probably isn't as worked up about this as I am and other Liverpool fans are, because he believes in himself, he believes in the squad that he has there. A squad, by the way, that won the Premier League at a canter this season by 18 points. But it's important to point out as well that when we lost the Premier League by 25 points to Manchester City, we closed that gap to 1 point the following year. So these massive point swings are capable of happening. But even if we don't do any business, we're still going to be challenging this season. But it just seems like a bit of an own goal. Do you know what I mean? When we could potentially add a little bit of a talent to the squad for a reasonable fee, boost the fan base, boost the manager, and give us a real spring in our step going into the new Premier League campaign, because we kind of finished with a bit of a whimper last year. We won the Premier League, brilliant. We celebrated it, brilliant. But then again, we weren't ourselves from that point on, and it's easy to say that's because the players kind of dropped down a gear or two because they knew the job was done. We still had a few things to chase. Do you know what I mean? We still could have gone and got 100 points. We still could have broken some more records, and it didn't work out. And then we went out, obviously we sat back and we watched the other clubs play this little mini tournament in the Champions League, and it was a bit of a downer not to be part of that, obviously getting knocked out by Atleti. And it's weirdly turned in from a point where we're all celebrating the Holy Grail, the Premier League title, to a point where we all feel a little bit disheartened going into the... Well, excuse me, I can't speak for everybody. I feel a little bit disheartened going into the new season. Now, I'm going to still back these players 100%. I'm going to be on here screaming at referees left, right and centre. But look, this is just my take on it. As always, ladies and gents, I'd love to know what you guys have to say. Please do hit the subscribe button, by the way, if you're enjoying the content, albeit tonight maybe not the happiest of nights to be with us. And do give us a thumbs up or a like, whatever you call it, I don't know, whatever the cool kids call it. Give us one of them.